Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Hair Club. I'm Cole Woods, Hair and Beauty Network's Partnerships Manager at MYAVANA. For those who aren't familiar with us, MYAVANA is revolutionizing the hair care industry as the first AI-powered hair care system providing personalized product recommendations and hair analysis for women of color. Let me share some context that makes today's discussion crucial. As our community continues to drive significant growth in the hair care market, it's more important than ever to have open conversations about product safety and innovation. Recent viral conversations have sparked important discussions about the safety of hair products in our community, and we've gathered an incredible panel of experts to dive deep into this crucial topic, exploring everything from ingredient safety to innovative solutions. Before we begin, I want to remind our audience that you can participate in today's discussion through the live chat. Drop an emoji in the chat to let us know where you're joining from. We'll be taking your questions throughout the stream, so feel free to prefix your questions with the letter Q to make them easier to spot. Now, I'm excited to introduce our distinguished panel of experts who are leading the charge in hair health and safety. First, I am especially excited to welcome Robin D. Groover, MYAVANA's Chief Hair Officer. With decades of industry experience and deep expertise in hair science and formulation, Robin brings invaluable insights to our discussion of product safety today. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. Hi, ladies. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Awesome. Also joining us is Hannah Diop, founder of Sienna Naturals and a pioneer in the clean beauty innovation. Hannah's commitment to clean formulations and technology integration is transforming the industry. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're also joined by Ciara Imani May, founder of Rebundle, who's revolutionizing protective styling with plant-based alternatives. Ciara's work in alternative materials is breaking new ground in hair safety. Welcome, Ciara.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And of course, our own Coco Menina, MYAVANA's expert hairstylist, brings a year of professional experience and insights from working directly with clients. Welcome, Coco.
Hi.
There she goes.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
That was an entrance.
And last but certainly not least, we have Vecoya Banks, founder of the Love the Hair You Wear community. Her community-focused approach is empowering consumers with knowledge and support. Welcome, Vecoya.
Thanks for that intro, Cole. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Vecoya.
Awesome. So let's dive into our discussion. I'll start with you, Vecoya. So we've seen increasing concerns in the community about toxic ingredients in hair products. So what are you hearing from your community members, and what are their biggest concerns?
Well, I think we had a little bit of chance to chat before with Anna and Ciara. My main thought was, even when I saw some of the viral posts about extensions and having to really think through, what we're putting in our hair, I was like, oh God, it's something else to worry about. That's what I was thinking. And so I know that we have to be mindful of what we're doing. But just in this day and age, I really do think, we have to think about the detergent that we wear, that we put in our clothes. We have to think about, the chemicals on the food that we eat. So that is one thought. Wow, something else to worry about. But I am glad that the conversation came up to light. I know in our community specifically, something that came up is, how do we even identify harmful ingredients that, we should be mindful of, that we're intaking. I'm no scientist and I'm not a cosmetologist. I'm just consider myself very enthusiastic about hair care. So from a consumer standpoint, how do we even know what to look for? that we should be mindful of. And I know that like a Ciara or, would be able to let us know more so about her story, with Rebundle, to know what we should even be looking for to have on our radar.
Mm-hmm. And I see a few people sharing in the chat. Put a hand up if you've ever felt confused about product ingredients. I know I have. We have Zane from Brooklyn, New York. Jade Scott chiming in. And Janelle from the Sienna Squad. Awesome. So, Robin, from your extensive experience in the industry and your role as MYAVANA's Chief Hair Officer, can you help us understand the ingredients that are causing concern?
Okay, I'll give you my experience of when the alarm really started sounding off. Was when I was a relaxer expert. When I got in the industry, my first question was, where's my hair? Where is everybody's hair? Because I grew up with a lot of hair. As you can see, my density is pretty good. And my great grandmother had waist length hair. And I'm like thinking I'm going that route because I wanted the silver tresses. And by the time I got out of hair school, I noticed that everybody's hair was really short, really thin. What is the issue? And as I started researching, relaxers was the #1 service being sold in salons. That's when I discovered that hair was unique as a fingerprint, and everybody was using the same relaxer, one bucket on everyone. So during this time, I met Mr. Cornell McBride Sr., who was one of my mentors, and at least him as a chemist had 6 different types of relaxers. So you could customize, and the innovation and the technology allowed me to really master. And so I was able to take the chemical and actually manipulate it where I left a curl pattern. My clients were able to retain length, but the science, you still left 50% of your strength because of the sulfide bond was missing. I couldn't fight against that. So when I started transitioning people, it was technology that allowed me to do that, which was ionic blow dryers and ceramic tools. So it's the technology that led the way. And within this, it was, oh, my hair has never been this long before. Oh, I used to have migraines. I got off my meds that I've been taking for 10 years. I no longer have headaches.
Wow.
When you start hearing the stories of what people were going through and suffering, but they didn't know why, and you could trace it back to the chemicals of a sodium or calcium hydroxide, you start really looking at it from a practical sense. If I got to wear gloves on my hands, should I really be putting it on somebody's scalp? And so from a protection standpoint, it was always the goal to take care of the client. Now, I'm a science girly, so that means performance first. So when everybody started mixing product in the kitchen, I was so irritated. I was like, I don't want my avocado on my hair. I want it on my salad. What I realized is that when you really look at it, you have to nurture yourself from head to toe. So now I'm more balanced in that, and I really appreciate the synergy of science and nature and beauty, because there is a balance to it. But we also know as science girlies, there's some natural ingredients that if not used right you're going to burn up your scalp with that as well. But my stance, which I thought was one of the strongest, was no keratin treatments, no relaxers. And the other thing that I would say is a lot of people are actually allergic to hair color, and they have these reactions. So you have to do patch tests, even with hair color. Those are the top basics. Now, then you get in your sulfates and your parabens, and then you start looking at all of these different things. It took me a while because with product buildup, I must say, as a cosmetologist, I am not mad at a sulfate. I want your hair clean. But as a consumer's health, I would always pick what's better for my client long term. And so that's kind of where I started with this. Is it good for my client? And at the end of the day, it's not really about the ingredients. It's about the manageability that the client is looking for. Nobody said, "Ooh, I want a caustic chemical." No, they said, "Ooh, I want my hair to be manageable." And so we have to be the protectors of how we manage the hair.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And you know what? While we're in the vein of professional stylist insights, Coco, I'd love to get your insight on this. What changes or effects have you observed in your clients related to product safety?
Okay, my computer is just lagging a little bit, but for my clients, with transitioning them from relaxed to natural, um, it's been an easy journey without using chemicals. My clients don't have headaches. I don't have headaches anymore after using a relaxer. So it's a healthier transition for my clients, leaving the relaxer, going to the natural hair care. I am lagging.
It's okay. We can hear you just fine. But I'm glad that both of you weighed in on the misconceptions when it comes to product ingredients. Robin, you mentioned that there are actually some natural ingredients that can be just as harmful. Are there any ones in particular that we can know to look out for?
I think it's all about the percentage and how you use it, because it's a difference between use and abuse. So if you say, let's take psoriasis, okay? It's a scalp condition, a skin condition, and a lot of people might want to use a eucalyptus or a tea tree under steam. That's only going to irritate it. Psoriasis is not to be treated under steam, and that's water, something simple as water. So that would be one of those examples but it's only water. It's only steam therapy. What's amazing, like castor oil, there's a love-hate relationship with castor oil, but castor is still a natural oil. I think coconut oil is a difference between use and abuse. If your porosity is your hair is very porous and you use coconut oil, you not only get buildup on the outside, you're going to get buildup in the inside because it's going to disappear, but the layers start inside the strand. And so it dulls the hair out, and then it starts to block any type of nutrition. And so those are the adverse effects. There's a lot of formulation, I would say, challenges when it comes to ingredients that people or scientists know that if it's 0.0005, it's not going to be as harmful as 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you get something that's mild versus something that's strong. And so I wouldn't name any particulars. And then you have your dirty dozen. I can't name them right off, but you can look at your dirty dozen list and always check the EU, compliance, because Europe has a very detailed safety rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't sell your product in Europe, you shouldn't have whatever it is in the product. And a lot of people had to do adjustments, even like from California standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember a lot of people on the East Coast had to adjust their products to be able to sell them on the West Coast. And so if we think about the West Coast, everybody's very health conscious. And so when it comes to hair products or beauty products, it's always going to follow the market in food. So if you follow in the food market, you know that everything's about wellness. Even mock cocktails versus alcohol right now is on the rise. They said a lot of people stop drinking. They rather go take a nap. So, you have all of these trends that are with us, and it is telling you that people really want to be healthier. And we just want to make sure that we do our small part of making it safe as possible. And it's subjective too. So you have to really know what's good for you when it comes to ingredients as well.
Absolutely. I just want to take a quick break to say hello to some of the people in the chat. We have Braids Gang in the room.
All right, Braids Gang.
Ponder Beauty and Co.
Yes.
And Soraya herself. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Let me check. Okay. So I just want to remind the audience to remember to drop an emoji in the chat if you've learned something new so far. And you are welcome to add any questions as well. Now, as we transition into segment 2, these insights about product safety are eye-opening, and they lead us perfectly into our next topic, the innovations being developed to address these concerns. The industry is evolving, and our next speakers are at the forefront of that change. Hannah, Sienna Naturals is leading the way in clean beauty. Can you tell us about the innovations you're developing to address these safety concerns?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And I love hearing you talk, Robin. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I think for Sienna Naturals, I actually started developing these formulas working with a cosmetic chemist over 10 years ago. And I think it's important to share the inspiration and some of the motivation as to why I started the product in the first place. I grew up in a very natural household. So we were eating natural food from the natural food store, getting food delivered from a farm. I had what I consider a wellness lifestyle from a young age. So I had acupuncture, I had massage therapy, very holistic view. And then I joined a swim team at a very young age. So 8 years old, I'm in the locker room, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I'm in a locker room. I'm one of the only girls with textured hair in the locker room, and washing my hair with this product that my mom truly thought was the safest, the most natural, the best for me. But essentially was Castile soap, did not perform in my hair. On top of the chlorine damage from the pool, the Minnesota winters, my hair was dry and damaged and just was in bad shape. And so, as I grew up and grew older, I worked in consulting, and I had a chance to help companies solve really big problems. Around that same time, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and she ended up passing from it. And it really inspired me to do something and to create high performance products that are formulated with the utmost integrity. And I really believe when we know better, we do better. So Sienna Naturals, we do a lot of research, and I work, like I said, hand in hand with a cosmetic chemist, developing all of our formulas in-house to make sure that we don't include any ingredients on. We use the European Union, but even beyond that, we use like the list by the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics and other lists to make sure we're not including ingredients that are proven to be endocrine disrupting, harmful, cancer causing, etc. And so that was just super important to me. But, you know, even think about it 10 years ago from now, or 10 years back, 15 years ago, people really weren't really thinking about how clean and how safe a product was. Like Robin said, performance is king. Performance is the most important part. And I really see this cycle that we live in and the social context, especially we as Black women face, and the scrutiny we face around how our hair looks and how we're treated based on how our hair appears. And so that to me is the most critical piece of information in this whole problem, because that's the reason why we haven't been paying attention to the ingredients as much, in addition to them being hard to understand. And like literally you need a PhD and they constantly change. So it's hard to get your arms around it in the first place. But we're so worried about being mistreated, being discriminated against, literally losing our job, getting kicked out of school because of our hair appearance. And so I think that's where I really saw this opportunity to disrupt, because this cycle just keeps repeating itself. It's like you feel forced and pressured to make your hair controlled or in a certain way. And that leads you to use harmful chemicals that then deteriorate the health of your hair and scalp. And it just creates a cycle. So I really created Sienna Naturals to be a disruptor of that cycle, to create products that are free of harm to your body, and also with this sort of relentless focus on performance.
Which I love, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for adding that insight to the conversation. Ciara, Rebundle is tackling safety from a different angle with alternative materials. What solutions are you bringing to protective styling?
Yeah, first, let me apologize on behalf of my dog. He's expecting some attention right now, so you will hear a squeaky toy in the background. But when I started connecting the dots between scalp irritation and synthetic hair back in 2019, it raised a larger question of, one, why has this problem persisted so long? And why are all the solutions DIY? Like, why can I only alleviate my irritated scalp by washing the hair in apple cider vinegar? Because I couldn't think of any other product that I spent good money on, that I had to take it a step further myself. And so I had all these questions. I cut my hair off while I was in grad school, and then I was growing it back. And I just wanted to wear braids because I just got my first big girl job. And, you know, people wear braids for a variety of reasons, but one of them is to save time and the simplicity of it. But what I recognize is that nothing about the irritation was simple. And then added another layer. Where did all this hair go when I take it out anyway? I put it in the trash, and I never think about it again. And so all these worlds started to collide for me. As a non-technical founder, both my degrees are in business and social entrepreneurship, but I could see very clearly that there was something that I needed here. And without even having to ask other Black women if they had the same experience, I already knew. I went and did my customer discovery anyway, but this was like a known thing. It was almost like the mantra of beauty is pain, which now we know, you know, no one says that anymore because it's not true. Right. But I also believe that it was not right that you would have to suffer from scalp irritation and itchiness, redness, hair loss, bumps, you name it, while wearing braid. Like that I couldn't wrap my mind around how I'd gone 25 years of my life thinking that that was okay too. And so what I decided was that if I was going to continue to wear braids, I would need to be able to do so both comfortably and sustainably. And whatever that looked like was what I was going to pursue. And it ended up being the foundation of what we know as Rebundle today, which is a plant-based hair extensions brand made from banana fiber that is an alternative to traditional hair extensions, both human and synthetic, because we're using a plant-derived material as opposed to petrochemical, which most synthetic hair is made out is. It's pure, it's oil, it's plastic. And so that was what sparked the inspiration for me. But I think this inspiration for a lot of people, what many of our customers and people who discover us for the first time can identify with is, oh yeah, braids itch. Yeah, nothing you can do about it as far as I know, except pay $200 something to get your hair done and take it down a few days later, or pat and scratch your way through it, or not get braids at all. And all those options just sounded terrible to me. I didn't want to do that. And I knew that millions of other Black women didn't want to do that anymore. And so I had to work with a ton of scientists. Like I said, I'm non-technical. We have a full-time director of product on our team who has a background in cosmetic chemistry. And so her job is to make sure that every ingredient that we use is safe for the skin and not going to cause any irritation, one, but also we're really taking a look at what we want people to take into consideration is the long-term effects of wearing these products that are so intimate on our scalps, the largest organ of on our bodies. Your scalp breathes, so it absorbs things. You sweat, you shower in it. You know, you are living with this like this external body, and it needs to be in concert with your own body and not working against you, whether you feel it with an itching sensation today, or we find out, may just be a few short years from now, or we find out that actually this is having a detriment on our health in the same way relaxers have, and that class action is in place right now. I believe that the class action for synthetic hair is just around the corner, so have your stories ready.
That class action is going to look like reparations.
I mean, I don't know if it could be worse than the relaxers or if it's going to be like they're going to be toe to toe, but I'm a firm believer that it is just around the corner because there's more than enough evidence. There are more than enough horror stories, and there's more than enough research that is coming out now saying like, actually, when you burn the hair, when it's exposed to certain temperatures, it releases volatile chemicals, VOCs. There are other studies that say these endocrine disrupting chemicals are found and linked to these products. They're showing up in synthetic hair too. So it's only a matter of time. It's literally only a matter of time for the next research study to be published that should give us a more comprehensive view of how these products affect us and how Rebundle affects us as well. We're included in the study, which I'm eager to see if those results match up with what we've done internally, because I always said that eventually the market will catch up, and we want to make sure that we're ahead of everything.
We absolutely appreciate that.
Cole, is it okay if I ask the question? Because I do feel like we have some experts on here when it comes to the extensions, and we definitely need to be mindful of what the extensions are made out of. Would having knotless braids make it any better because it's not directly on your scalp, or no, you just need to
still touching your face? It's still on your person. So theoretically, no, it wouldn't make a difference. But all of this is very much speculative because there hasn't been enough research saying like 1 + 1 = 2. But we know that based on what is the makeup of these products, which is PVC, like literally the same thing that is the siding of your house, the piping under your sink. There are certain applications that this product just shouldn't be used, like in hair extension. So the style you wear probably matters less. That would be my perspective based on what I know, what I've heard other experts tell me about how those plastics are used in other applications. Literally, when I was like talking to random people, like, "Hey, I got this braiding hair that's made out of this, and I'm trying to do this," they're like, "I'm sorry, what?" I've never heard of anything like this, but you're telling me that like people actually wear this? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, that shouldn't be happening.
Right.
Ciara, you brought up a very good point when you said that it's almost as if itching has become synonymous with having braids. And what I find even more fascinating about that is how there are even products to address the itching, but until like recently, like with Rebundle, we haven't had products that address the issue, the actual issue.
Yeah, and I didn't think that was good enough. I didn't think that, one, I wasn't willing to wash the hair in apple cider vinegar because it stinks and gross. And there were what people will call like Band-Aid solutions. You layer something on top of what the actual problem is, but we're really not getting at what the root of the problem is. And that was the approach I wanted to take because I needed it for myself. And I just knew. I knew that this was something that was needed because I'm a Black woman. I didn't need all this data to tell me that Black women needed something different. Even though we still collected it, we still had to make sure that we're talking to the right people and using the right messaging and, you know, follow all the steps. But I knew instinctively that this was something that people would care about because it was something that I cared about.
Absolutely. I want to jump into the chat really quick. We have Shirley Dickerson in the house. Welcome, Shirley. And then Main Moves Media has said the natural hair industry has always been concerned with clean ingredients. As the movement grew more focused, was placed on products that promised giving a certain look over the health of our hair, which pretty much piggybacks off of what you were saying earlier, Robin, how we were more focused on the result rather than the process of getting that result. Which caused us to not take a harder look at those ingredients that are being used.
Absolutely.
I also don't think that it's all on the consumer. I'll just add that I don't think that the lack of knowledge or the lack of action is the consumer's fault most of the time, because while we all want to achieve the best look, whatever that look may be that a product promises, if you think about braiding hair in particular, how your scalp feels is a big portion of that performance. But that piece of the performance is sacrificed by the way it looks. And so when people are like, well, I need the braids to look a certain way, or I like my braids to look a certain way, synthetic hair is designed to mimic human hair, so it's gonna look nearly as natural as possible. But that performance piece of like how it works versus how it feels is what's the word I want to use? They kind of compete with each other in this case, because you want the product to look how you want it to look, and you want it to feel like your hair, but how it actually feels on your scalp and how it's interacting with your body is in conflict with the other aspect of performance. So I think that's one distinction that's a bit different from like Sienna Natural products, where the end result is what people are focused on and less about the ingredients. No one's ever asked what ingredients are in synthetic hair. I think we sort of know anecdotally that it's plastic, but we've never had, the consumer has never had the opportunity to raise those questions, to advocate for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Candace says, that's why this is such an important conversation.
Yeah, I really think the consumer has been trained to prioritize the final result over personal health. And that, I love that you make that point, because we shouldn't have to have a trade-off. We should not have to have a trade-off. And I think that in addition, like not just the consumer, not just the brand, but also governments should have more oversight, purview, and control. And, you know, Robin was pointing out the European Union has a higher standard. European Union has banned 2,400 chemicals, 2,400 chemicals that they know to cause harm from being used in cosmetic products. in the US, only 11 products have been banned at the federal, 11 ingredients have been banned at the federal level.
Wow.
California just passed legislation, which will, of course, influence other states, because now California just recently, I think late last year, banned 24 chemicals from being used, like the most toxic, which is great. I think that's great progress. But without that impetus of the government enforcement, brands will not behave better, especially brands that don't have a vested interest in Black women. And
Right.
you look at like some of the highest market shares in textured hair industry, and they're not folks that know us or are us. They don't have people like Robin, weighing in on their formulation, on their performance, or Coco hired. So I think, it's just if you look at every angle, if you look at this industry from every angle, from the end consumer to the origin of the product itself, there's just opportunity for disruption. And I think, I love that. I mean, just seeing this video go viral around the conversation with synthetic hair is just, I just feel like, wow, people are leapfrogging their way to understanding this. And now your product will give the consumer, oh, hey, I don't have to compromise now. I can have it all. And I believe Sienna Naturals is doing the same thing as well. And so we can demand more too. But I think it was a great point you made. It's not just on the consumer to be responsible for this.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I would add to it's everybody's responsibility to take care of each other. The professionals. I remember when I first stopped relaxing hair, it was in the 90s. And the stylists in the salon all relaxed hair. And they told me I had to go on the other side of the salon because they didn't want me to influence their customer in not getting a relaxer. So it was me, myself, and I, and it was 12 stylists on the other side. And they had like buckets of relaxers from the floor to the ceiling. And I felt so sorry for the women because I see them now, and most of them have hair thinning and alopecia and all of the long-term effects. And so that's why I love MYAVANA, because we care. Like, you have to care about the consumer. You have to care about the profession and the industry. And what I would say about the synthetic hair that's so beautiful, one of my clients got braids. I don't do braids, but somebody on my team did it. And she was like, the hair itches me so bad. And so we did the prep work of shampooing it with the vinegar, and then because of the way it smelled, and then you got to go back in with shampoo. So you're talking about almost like 2 hours of prep before you can even start with the braids. And so, Ciara, thank you. Because there's a lot of people who are really allergic to it. And I think you brought up a really good point about the class action. The thing about the synthetic hair and the braiding that is alarming is that the hair loss seems more permanent than with the relaxer hair loss. The recovery and transitioning someone who used to be relaxed going to natural, you can see just by not, taking away their disulfide bond and letting the hair grow out to its natural state, it's going to increase by 50% all the way around. But with improper braiding, and it probably is the chemical that's really accelerating it, the follicle seems to not want to regenerate at all. And so the hair loss when it comes to extensions seems more permanent, because I've never seen so many women with shiny alopecia. It is so alarming, and it all comes from some type of hair extension. And I know it just
Yeah.
can't be technique.
It could be, it's probably a combination of tension, weight, and then the chemical makeup itself.
Yes.
And hopefully the data that is published soon will help add some color to that. The tension, dermatologists can speak to the tension pretty clearly. Like, you put tension on your hair, damages the follicle, may never grow back. Traction alopecia, boom. Nothing we can do about that. And that's like, you know, most dermatologists say you just can't wear braids. We know that culturally that's not, I don't really think that that's the right answer, because how many Black women are really going to be like, oh, I guess I'll just never wear braids again? Highly unlikely. But those other factors you can solve for. You can solve for the weight. Our products are much lighter and they're a lot more breathable. And you can solve for the chemical makeup, which doesn't always have an obvious effect. But that's where we hope that long term we can see what is the impact that these products is having on our scalps directly and our bodies over time with that prolonged exposure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hannah made a point earlier about, you know, consumers having to, you know, wanting kind of like the look over anything else. I think another thing to consider, though, is also resources and having accessibility to some of those resources, because almost like when you go to the grocery store, yes, it would be nice to get the organic everything, but that's not always in people's price points, you know? So that's something else to consider too when it comes to the choices that people have to make sometimes when it comes down to what they can actually afford.
Yes, that's true. And Black women still spend 9 times white women on our hair. And we,
it's not like we don't have it.
We are finding it. We will find it. So I think I think there's still a lot of education for the industry, for consumers, tools like MYAVANA to help people analyze their hair type. So hopefully they find the right product sooner so they can reduce the amount that they have overall, because we're still spending 9 times.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
I like to tell people, price obviously comes up in conversation for our products all the time. And we actually lowered our pricing and are doing our best to get the price to something that is more accessible, even more accessible. But I always have to put that back on the consumer. Like, there's a reason that pack hair is $2. And it also took 50 plus years for it to get to $2 a pack. We only been in business 4 years. So I'm sorry, I can't sell a bundle for $4 or $2 even. It's just not, it is not feasible economically. But yeah, I force the consumer to think about, well, how do you think they reached that $2 price point? Somebody's being exploited, and/or that stuff is bad for you anyway.
And I think on the product side too, one reason why we're priced where we are, which I wouldn't call prestige, I would call premium priced or masstige, maybe a little higher than masstige, but premium, is because that is the space where you actually can use some of the natural innovations that are coming out. So there are a lot of biotech companies now that are developing alternatives to some of these chemicals. So for example, PVP-VA copolymer is a plastic-derived curling agent ingredient that's used it's synonymous with curling products. We don't use that. We don't use that ingredient in our product. And we found a plant-based alternative to it made with plant cellulose technology. And that ingredient has instrumental testing. It shows superior curling capability, and it also shows superior curl memory and hold relative to this synthetic chemical that's been in the market. But to purchase it is, you know, sometimes you got to pray that they're going to send you this. Like, it's still like a patented ingredient. Ooh, honey, I'm like, I'm sweating. Like, please don't make me miss my PO ship date. Get back here. So, I mean, I would love to see even more Black women chemists innovating and like starting some of these biotech companies. Also, like anybody in the audience, low key, that's where the funding is. If you do biotech, you're going to get a lot of venture capital. But so this is like, it allows us as a brand to seek out these more innovative ingredients. And then just going back on the safety, and definitely agree with you. Like, first of all, read the ingredients. If you're allergic to anything, you're still going to be allergic to it. but we also, dermatologists test every single product on 50 plus human subjects using an RIPT test. And so that proves that if there's no reaction in a panel of 50 consumers, that the product is safe for sensitive skin and suitable for sensitive skin. And that was really important to me because I had a lot of allergies and sensitivities. Like, I hope I have a photo of my scalp. I've only had braids twice in my life. Both times, like, my scalp, it's like open wounds. Like, it's just like, I'm so sensitive to it. So, yeah, I think there's just so much room still to go, I think. And I think one thing that the price point does, because, you know, you go 15 and under, $9.99 and under, one issue I have with those price points is like, you're limited in how clean those ingredients can get until the government, if the government were to mandate some of these chemical bans, which they're starting to do in the States, then the big chemical companies would use and create those ingredients safer, and they would become cheaper because it would force all of the big conglomerates to use them. So, you know, it's also like, it's kind of the space we have to be in a little bit to get that level of clean plus performance.
So true.
This leads me to another interesting question. So and this is for any of you, what are the first steps you would recommend for transitioning to safer products? Because I imagine you can't just make the jump, or it wouldn't be wise to just make the jump.
Research and educate.
Yeah. I think too, there's apps like Yuka, those apps where you can literally take it to the store and scan it, and it'll give you the profile of the ingredients. And if it says, oh, this is not clean, or, you know, some of this is clean, some of it is not, it also tries to educate you on those. Like, quite frankly, there's so much innovation because it, like, hair and beauty is like food. They're coming out with new molecules all the time, because even if a molecule is natural and completely safe, the name can be long and look crazy because they split the molecule, then they added water, they hydrolyzed it, and like, you're just like, I don't know, is hydrolyzed bad? No, it means they added water to it. But like, it's hard to understand that if you're not steeped in it. So I always recommend apps like that where you can actually just let the thing do the work for you, or plug it into like Environmental Working Group. And then I know Breast Cancer Prevention Partners has the Black Beauty Project and their Campaign for Safe Cosmetics banned list as well. But I think those, like, yeah, more apps. Another great idea. Any aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience, maybe I'll do it. Make us an app. MYAVANA, where's your scroll? Where's your scanner?
I want to jump into these comments a bit. So Ponder Beauty & Co. said the marketing of certain hair products targeted at Black women can be misleading, especially when they don't fully disclose harmful chemicals. Education about labels and ingredient lists is key. She also said, I'd love to see more transparency from brands. Very true.
That's a really good place to start too. If you're trying to figure out where to start with the brands that value transparency and are giving you something to go off of.
Absolutely. Main Moves Media says, our consumer education hands-on class in New York City, Next Level Naturals, discuss product selection and ingredients. We're always looking to partner with clean beauty brands for students. And they also said EWG as a good resource as well for ingredient transparency and education. Awesome. Now, I have a few follow-up questions for you, Robin and Hannah. Can you give us a quick guide when it comes to decoding ingredient lists?
I mean, one of the...
Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, the quick thing I always point to is brands should disclose what's in their fragrance. Fragrance is one of those loophole ingredients where you can hide. It can hide up to 100 different chemicals in it, and often comes with phthalates. Phthalates are known to be endocrine disrupting and cancer causing. And actually, phthalates were banned from children's toys because of that reason. So phthalates help like molecules stick to things. So it, like, if the stronger a fragrance is in a product, and even if you wash it out of your hair, you still smell that fragrance, it's probably a sign that there's a high level of phthalates in that product. So I think, fragrance is always like, you see that one, and I know we love fragrance. We're connected to fragrance. Sienna Naturals uses essential oils as our fragrance in our product, but that's always a quick one. And then the I'll let Robin go, but that's the easiest one I know of.
Yeah, it's a loaded question, right? One, always find the difference between marketing and ingredients, because people will market natural ingredients, and then when you look at the label, it's last on the list. So that means it's a sprinkle to just get it on the list versus an active ingredient that's actually activating the product. That's one. I think there's this fine line between marketing and product performance that can be deciphered once you look at the product label. If you don't know what something is, just look it up. It's so many tools, as you talked about, Hannah, that people can look up the word to see exactly what it does. Because like you take cetyl alcohol, somebody might think it's drying the hair out, but it's a fatty alcohol that actually works as a binder. So the chemistry of creating product is not as simple as it sounds. So a lot of the language could be misleading, because you hear things like, if it's more than 4 ingredients, do you really want it? Well, it's according to the performance. But that was great information about those phthalates. Thank you, Hannah, because when we formulate, smell is one of the last things, fragrance, that you even want to consider. But you have to do it early because it's so important. It will change your formula. Now I know why it will change your formula, because it could have up to 100 chemicals in it. That will change your formula. And so that's what I can think of right off. Always remember, glycerin is going to have your hair very moist. If it has a high percentage, it will never dry, because it was the main ingredient in curl activator. So if you live in humid areas, slow down on the glycerin intake in your product. That's a bonus.
That's a gem. Thank you for dropping that gem.
Yeah.
Before our conversation, I actually shared a video on LinkedIn where the interviewer shared a study from a Harvard Business Review saying that beauty products with toxic ingredients, carcinogens, and things like that are 50% more likely to be marketed towards Black women versus the 7% that they are marketed towards other demographics.
Mm-hmm.
And that number is just staggering. And in that interview, they called it environmental injustice. Sense that we are being disproportionately affected by not just the products, but the marketing itself is very disingenuous.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the status quo. And that is the status quo for textured hair care. And it's really disheartening. It's still, I've heard that 75% of products aggressively marketed to Black women contain known harmful chemicals and cancer-causing chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
That's a lot of power.
Yeah, going back to what Vecoya said earlier, it's like, where can we turn? It's like it's if it's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah.
I think the answer to that question is to each other, provided that it is still a good idea to do your research and vet the companies. But we have a vested interest in the products that we create, and we're more incentivized to care over brands who are not owned by us. Granted, there are outliers. Relaxers are being manufactured by Black-owned companies as well, so sometimes it is just the status quo. But I would say in this day and age, a lot of the innovation that gets me most excited is coming from people who are within the community and who understand the problem and are offering up solutions that they can use, that their families can use, and are really taking a different approach to how community plays a role in brands and in product development. So that's also another really good way to look at it, is who is solving this problem from their own personal experience, and then you go into the rabbit hole of their credibility, you know, how their team is structured, how their products are made, etc. But I find that it's a lot easier to buy products like my beauty products strictly from Black-owned brands if I want to.
That's a great point.
Absolutely.
And I love that you said, like, if anybody, we can turn to each other at the end of the day. And which brings me to Vecoya. When it comes to community, what are some things that you can think of in terms of us being able to empower the consumer through community, like your events?
Well, I mean, I think that almost like Robin said at the beginning, education, like, I feel like even I've heard some things today that I'm going to bring back, like the EU. Like, I know that we definitely want to hold our government to a certain standard, but I'm kind of, you know, that's a different subject. But to hear that there are some standards that, you know, we can trust to go to get more education about what is acceptable or wouldn't be as harmful. I think education is definitely the key. Accessibility is another really important factor. And that tailored education is going to be really important too. And empowering the attendees to know that, you know, all of these things are something within their reach. Like even some of the things that I learned today or heard today about how you can research some of the products. I think that when people actually think about the power that they have within themselves, even with the cell phone, to look up some of this stuff is something that you think about. And I mean, I know that everything that we think about or that consumes on our body, even the lotion that you use, you need to be thinking about that and how that affects your skin. So for me, I'm trying to switch more to olive oil, you know, just thinking about those things. I know it, but to actually go through it and really it's everything that we consume impacts us. That's when it kind of shifts a little bit. Maybe a light bulb goes off. Because the synthetic hair conversation, it came to me probably a month ago on social media. And I'm like, well, that does make sense. Whatever it's made out of is going to impact us. But before, when I'm getting braids, I'm not necessarily thinking about it. So I think education, accessibility, and knowing that we do have the tools to empower ourselves and also reach into our own communities to empower each other. I think all those things make it so that, you know, the community piece is there.
Yeah. And I think along with that, accountability, being able to hold each other accountable within that community that, you know, we have to do better. We have to know better to do better. But at the end of the day, we have to make those choices.
For sure.
So as we wrap up this important discussion, I'd like each of you to share one key takeaway for our audience. So what's the most important thing they should remember about hair product safety? And as they're sharing, I want the audience to share your biggest takeaway so far in the comments. So Hannah, let's start with you.
Okay. Yeah, I want us to remember that our hair is beautiful, that we are beautiful, that we deserve things that perform and give us what we want and are also safe for our hair, for our scalp, for our body, for our family and the environment, and just truly value ourselves, because I find hair to be the most emotional category in beauty. And I think it's for everyone. It's especially true for us as Black women. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a very intimate, sacred place for us to live in the beauty space. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us today. Vecoya?
I'm gonna go with the conversation has just been so many great valid points have been shared today. For me though, even Robin's suggestion of at the EU and maybe comparing some of the ingredients that are helpful or maybe will help you strike down what's harmful. That's something that I'm walking away with. And I also wrote down EWG. I know Hannah as well as Main Moves Media about that. So actually having resources to turn to that might help when I get a little bit intimidated by maybe some of these ingredients that I see that I'm not quite sure what it is. Actually having resources to turn to make me feel a little bit more like, okay, I got this. I can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And Coco, how about you? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
There we go.
Okay, so I wanted to thank you for having me. I learned a lot tonight, but I would like to say that more Black companies need to do a little bit more research and development moving forward in their products. And collaborating with MYAVANA, we can do that for you. So that's where I am right now with research and developing, helping different brands get themselves out in the market. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
A lot of feedback. Well,
Oh,
it's so much feedback. Okay.
okay. Let's go to Robin.
Okay, so I was inspired by Hannah when she said the biochemical companies, we need to own them because entrepreneurship is the amazing part of the beauty industry that makes us excited and makes us tick. And with MYAVANA, it was about either choosing a life where you do small business well or you actually do big business. And when we decided to go for the entire ecosystem, it was inspired by the vertical. And the vertical of beauty, the ingredients and ingredient design, we should be in that space because we understand texture, type, and condition and what high performance looks like for us. And so I think you definitely opened the door. And it's the energy that's around. And I love it because
Let's
you
go.
felt like ownership.
Let's
Yes.
go. Let's make a molecule, MYAVANA. Everybody on this call.
And I'm like, it's ingredient design, because it's a beautiful space to be in. And we get to help everybody. Because like you were saying, when it comes to this government mandate, really, are we going to change the law for us, the people that you actually trying to make sick? No. However, if we own the ingredients that go in the products and dominate the market share, who gonna stop us, boo?
Nobody. Okay. You know what? We might have to have a side conversation.
So I'm leaving here real full because this is the innovation group. And I just want to thank you all for allowing me to sit. There have to be divine order. I got my invite this morning. I was like, yes. And Ciara, it was amazing. I love what you're doing. It is needed. I saw it firsthand. It's brave, it's smart, and it's totally disruptive. So congratulations on all that you're doing. And so, Coco, you know how we do it. Cold, chef kiss. Vecoya, you know how we do it. We've been rocking for a minute. Even though they won't let me come to North Carolina, I still be there in spirit. So that's all I got. Yay.
Lovely. Robin, you've been wonderful.
And Ciara, what's your key takeaway?
Yeah, I'll close this out. I feel assured in the communities that are at work, people on this call, and other brands that I know are fighting the fight. I think that we all are tasked with challenging the status quo, whatever that looks like in our line of business. And yeah, I feel encouraged, and I want everyone else on the call to feel encouraged to advocate for yourself, and everything you need, all the tools you need are in existence. It's just a matter of finding them and using them.
That's a t-shirt. Like it. Ooh.
Cole, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute, Cole.
Thank you. I was just saying, thank you all for this incredible discussion. To our audience, remember that this conversation doesn't end here. You can continue your hair health journey with MYAVANA's AI-powered app, which provides personalized recommendations based on your unique hair profile. Also, stay tuned for our upcoming content, including MYAVANA's Braid Care series, hosted by our very own Coco. Coco, do you want to give them just a brief overview of what they can expect from the Braid Care series?
Well, we will definitely will be talking about hair care before pre-braiding and post-braiding. Yeah.
Yes. And I know one of the other things that you were going to discuss is design compatibility. So I'm really looking forward to that part of the series for sure. Okay, so again, to our audience, don't forget to join our Hair and Beauty Network where we continue these conversations. Download our MYAVANA app to connect with fellow hair enthusiasts and to get exclusive tips from our experts. Next month, we'll be discussing a new topic as it relates to the diversity of textured hair. So hit the notification bell to stay updated. And before we go, drop a heart in the chat if today's discussion helped you. Oh, thank you, Shirley. She says, excellent job, ladies. I really enjoyed this. Can we put this on repeat every week, everywhere? Awesome. And like she says, remember to like, subscribe, and share this important conversation with your community. If you have any questions about what you learned today, please feel free to reach us at hello@myavana.com, and we will be happy to assist you. And until then, stay safe and informed in your hair care journey. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love and peace,
Thanks,
people.
everyone. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.